Society truly has gone too far. Everyone always asks, can we do something? They never ask why Pluto isn't a planet anymore. What have I brought into this earth?
It's good to use that. Hey little artist, welcome back to I Make Another Thing. So you may have noticed my friend here, my friend here. You know, this guy. You've probably seen him in your dreams if you haven't subscribed. What's his name? Oh, we dare not speak it, for it gives him power. Anyhoozles, I don't know if I mentioned it on this channel, but I know I mentioned on my other channel, I got this guy off Terreba for free. It's a crane game, but they give you free plays because they know you're probably not gonna win, but I do. I win a lot. Anyways, that's where I got this demon from. Recently, they put more of these in different colors up, and I was trying to win this guy a little friend because I thought it would be funny to have, you know, multiple things haunting my dreams and sleeping under my bed, licking my toes at night, but they just kept putting it in machines that I could not win. You know what you're doing, Terreba. Don't put them in those machines. You know people don't win those. This isn't about my problems. But around that time, as I was looking for a friend, one of my real friends emailed me this. I don't know why I said emailed, they texted me. Nobody emails. What's wrong with me? They texted me this. This glorious beast. And it got me thinking, there's probably more. So I went on the internet and oh, was there so much more beasts, so much more Furby-ness out there. Furbies. All glorious shapes and sizes, and that made me thinking, why have I been trying to win a friend for this guy? Why not just
Make a friend.
Thus started my journey of making a horrific Furby friend. Now, I wasn't just gonna make a regular Furby. I wanted a hybrid Furby, a new creation, as you will, because I want to be part of the Furby community. Like we all do, obviously. So we're gonna go through my process. Here it is. It's probably gonna be a huge mess. And welcome to my desk again. All right, so as always, the first thing I'm gonna do is just get a rough sketch of what I want to make, and I'm using my tablet, and this is my setup that I used for drawing recently. I also got a glove, like a professional. So let's go ahead and let's just do a quick sketch of what I want to do. So like I said, I'm just doing a real basic sketch here, just trying to get a rough idea of what I want to make. Perfect! Beautiful! I also thought about and made a quick list of all the things I'll need. Please ignore this. So I'm gonna need things like, you know, a foam ball for the base, wiring for all the legs and claws and stuff. Obviously gonna need fur, and then paints and such and such and such and such. So now that we got our drawing out of the way and we have a basic understanding of what we need, now we gotta go on the internets and find some of the things that I just not gonna be able to make, like the Furby face and probably the fur, obviously. So let's start with the face. Now looking around mostly on Etsy, there's quite a few people who are basically 3D printing the Furby face, so it's not like an actual mechanic, which is fine. That way it'll be cheaper, but I'm trying to find one that's not gonna take like, I don't know, 5 weeks to ship to me. And there's a lot of interesting things on here. Oh yeah. We're not here to shop for friends. We're here to make friends. We're here to make friends. It sounds nicer than
it really is.
Yes, that is a thing. This is the community we're gonna be a part of. This is gonna be us soon, me and you. Fur is kind of be a hard thing because again, I don't have a lot of money to spend. I'm very poor, and you know, I want to get the bang for my buck. There's some nice fur. I'm just gonna use Amazon just because it's the easiest and quickest. And again, I really want to get it here as soon as possible. All right, well, there we go. Ordered it all, and hopefully it'll be here within the next week. As for the other things like the styrofoam ball, the paint, I can just get that at Michael's, at my local Michael's store. And I still have leftover clay from my previous Gengar thing, as well as I still have wire. And I also have, you know, the hot glue gun and all the other things that I'll need. So I think we are all set. We're just gonna be waiting on those parts that, again, will hopefully show up in the next week or so.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so all my stuff arrived, so let's just get into it. Now, I didn't have as much clay left over as I thought I did, so I knew I had to save as much as possible. So to make the big claw, I decided to make the majority of it out of cardboard. This would also help, you know, make it light so it wouldn't fall over on its end. So I just take some regular cardboard and mold it as best as I can. Then I use my hot glue gun just to get out the rough shape. And it's pretty straightforward, as you can see what I'm doing. I do the opposite but smaller on the other end, just creating a base which I will then wrap with clay later. And then I take the wire and shove it into the bottom and hot glue gun it, as you can see. And this is what I'm going to use to stab into the foam and then generally just put like the clay around. And I drop it right there, great. So as you can see, like I said, I then take the clay that I have and start wrapping it around. I make it very thin and just kind of connect using water and my thumb to kind of smooth out the cracks and the seams. Just because I just want it to be light, because if I would have made this completely out of clay, it would have been too heavy and probably tipped over. And then I take a bit of, I just get the shape, and then I take the excess clay, as you can see, and I make the detail, like the little bumpies or little whatever you want to call them, serratedness inside the claw. And then I take more clay to make the base. I do the same thing with the other claw, except for instead of making it out of cardboard, I just get the rough shape out of the copper wire. And then I just start, you know, getting globs of clay and start molding it. Again, doing the same exact thing I did before, getting the rough shape in, and then getting a little bit of extra clay to make the details, like the little serratedness in the claws. I think I extend some of the tips in the claw to make it look just a little bit more menacing for the Furby. And then I do the exact same thing for the legs. I make a rough shape of the leg using just the copper wire. And of course, every now and then I make sure that it's going to rest and fit exactly the way I want. So I do this 4 more times. You know, I decided to go with 4 legs. I was going to do 6, but obviously I just don't have the clay for that. As you can see, I'm parsing out the clay to make sure that I have enough for each limb. But do the exact same thing, get the rough shape out of the leg, and then go in for the detail. I make 2 different types of legs, so the back 2 legs look different from the front 2 legs. There you go. As you can see, I made the back legs a little bit bigger, just to add more variance, and it kind of makes it look more creepy. Now, I realized I had some extra clay, and then I also realized that my Furby doesn't have any ears. Again, decided to use cardboard and just cover it with the clay, as you can see, using the same technique, making them very flat and then just wrapping it around as best as I could. And once I got enough coverage over the cardboard, I then decided to take the last little bit of clay and make just little details. Again, I go for the serratedness to kind of make them look like claws, so they look like a mash between an ear and a claw to just make it overall creepier. Now I had to wait a day for the clay to dry, and it did crack a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. We're just gonna use our paints, and I'm just gonna do this just like I would a regular painting. So first I'm gonna take my base color and just cover the entirety of each claw and leg. However, because I have no place to like stick these in to dry, I can only do one side at a time, as you can see. So I have to paint one side, wait for it to dry, and then paint the other side, which was very, very annoying. In the meantime, while the legs are drying, I decide to like get my base coat on the face. This is the face that I got off of Etsy. It's just a little 3D printed face. However, the plastic was not great with this paint. I mean, it's mostly the paint that I'm using. It's very, very cheap, you know, 98-cent paint. So it didn't quite stick to this, so I had to do multiple layers on the face. Now, as you can see, that the paint is mostly dry on one side, and then I flip them over and have to paint everything again on the other side. This will be a recurring thing, which will take forever. Oh, I also decide to might as well paint the base of the face. Furbies all have yellow beaks for whatever reason. So since it's going to take me a little... Ooh, there's a little boy in the corner. Do you see that? Anyways, so now that the base layer has dried, now I can add the different shades of red. Now I start doing this at first like I would a painting, where I try to go dark to light. So I start with the edges being darker and lighter, but I soon realized that that doesn't really work with this clay just because of the moisture or whatever's in it. So I actually later on changed this style, but for now that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding a little bit of detail, blotching in paint. The more messed up it looks, actually the more realistic it looks, which I kind of liked. So there you go. And now I have to paint all the rest. And by this point, I changed my technique, which I started with the light colors and just getting as much wet paint on the clay as possible, and then coming back with the darker colors around the edges and then just using my brush to blend. I found for whatever reason this worked a lot easier on the clay than doing it the normal way from dark to light. But yeah, I think it was just the clay was just weird with its moisture content and stuff like that. So anyways, go on to paint everything on one side. Like I said, wait for it to dry. Luckily the paint dried relatively quickly, so I could then flip everything over and do the exact same thing on the other side. Yay! This was a process. It took way longer than I thought it was going to. Okay, so once it was completely dry, it looked really good, but I really wanted to have like a glossy look and maybe Ferberize it a little bit. So I got this goopy goop pink shiny paint, as you can see. Now, I wasn't sure about it, and I don't know why I tested it first on the Big Claw. That was stupid, but luckily for me, it ended up looking really great. It not only added like a shininess to it, it's like a glossy wetness for the crabness, but it just made it look more, I don't know, bejeweled and Ferbery. So I go ahead and paint every single limb, and again, I gotta do the exact same thing. Paint one side, wait for it to dry, and then paint the other side. Which this paint, for whatever reason, I don't know, obviously the makeup was different, but it took twice as long to dry than my other paint. So it was a big pain in the butt, but in the end, I am really glad I did this. I think it really upped it a notch. And here we go, I'm painting the Furby. So at this point you can see the lighting has changed. It is nighttime and this is taking longer than I thought. So I decided to go ham on the paint and just go really, really thick, which kind of works for the base and the beak, but as you'll see later, doesn't really work for the eyes. So for the eyes, I wanted to have like a sunburst Sith Lord look, and I just go ham with the paint, but it's not working. So I tried to like switch in between one eye and the other eye to give it a little bit time to dry, but it's just not happening. So I just go for it and just go thick on the paint and then use a dry brush, as you can see here, to move the paint that I already put on the eyeball. And it works out okay. I decided to go on to detail because it's not really working out before coming back to the eye. Now to get the dark color, I don't have a black, so like I think I've said before, you can mix an ultramarine blue and a burnt umber to get a really nice warm black color, which is what I'm doing here for the pupils. Now, I don't make the pupils great, but like I said, the more messed up this thing looks, the better it looks overall, I think. So I get kind of lucky with that. And then I finish the pupils, and the last thing I do is the 3D printer guy that sent me this, he also sent me little like clear lenses that I super glue over the paint on the eyeball when everything is said and done. Okay, now to the really, really hard part, putting the fur on the furble. So I got this fur and I looked up this mathematical thing to put cloth on a spherical object, but I quickly learned that that's not going to work because I need 6 of these shapes and I can barely fit 2. So I scrapped the whole idea and just decide to literally wing it. I have no idea what I'm doing here, but I decided to glue all the pieces in first. So as you can see, I'm putting the wire on, I'm adjusting it where I need to, and then just hot glue gunning it straight onto the foam ball, which worked out pretty well. I go leg by leg to make sure everything is exactly the way I want, readjusting constantly, and as you can see, I'm clipping a lot of the excess on my legs because you really didn't need that much to stab into the foam ball for it to stay. Now for the claws, those were a little different because they were hanging in the air, so I kept the metal parts long. But then when I got everything as I wanted, as you can see, I mark where I'm going to glue it and then go into and glue the hole, and then I just went leg by leg, letting it completely dry and set before I went on to the next leg or arm, and that seemed to really work out really easily for me. And I think the last thing I do is I add a little bit of excess glue for the large claw here, just because it was so big, I just wanted to give it a little bit more structural integrity. Now from this point on, I can't tell you why I'm doing anything because I literally had no idea what I'm doing. I just knew that I needed to get this project done, so I just literally start winging it. I decided to put felt behind the face for whatever reason. I don't know. I guess Furbies have 2 tones, so I thought I will glue this felt here and then glue the face on top of it, which is exactly what I did. And then again, I don't know why I decided to do this, but I decided to take the excess of the felt and glue it and pinch it so it looks a little like, I don't know, wrinkled up skin, or just to really just give it texture. Again, I have no rhyme or reason to why I'm doing this. I'm literally just going and doing it. I decided to take the little piece of paper that I had and tried to make like a pseudo really crappy cutout of the shape. And I decided to go with the bottom first for no reason. And because of the way the fur is, I couldn't use scissors, so I had to improvise and make this. Awesome. I know. I have an X-Acto knife, but I couldn't find my little, like the little pen part where you screw in the X-Acto blade. I could only find the blades, so I had to run and get this cork. And as you can see, I glued the blade into the cork. It's super safe. Don't worry about it. Completely safe. It's not dangerous. I'll see. Look at that safety. But yeah, that's what I used to cut the fur, so I wouldn't use scissors because the scissors would just cut the fur on the outside, and I didn't want that. And to my surprise, it actually worked really well. So I decided to glue the edges that will be around the face just so I wouldn't have those harsh edges. And it ends up making this round little like tuft thing that I actually kind of like. So I just go, as you can see, go ham with the glue and start. Oh god, yeah, the glue was a big. If you ever used a hot glue gun, using it around fur is awful. But I managed by going slow and just gluing little bits by little little bits by little bits. And as you can see, it looks really good, and I'm really proud of myself. And then, I just, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was gonna make some felt pieces and do a thing. So I glue this for no reason. End up being pointless because I end up going with making like a band that I can wrap around the most important parts of the Furby, which is its face, obviously. And I do some measuring, but as you can see, I'm just using paper, and I am very much just winging it. At this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm just tired and I want to get this done because this has been taking way too long. So I cut it out using my awesome cutting tool. And then to my surprise, it actually fits really, really well. And it works out way better than I thought it was going to. So I decided to glue the edges just like before, but I have to do it in sections because it's rounded and not just a straight edge like the first one. Once I have that, I put it into place and then slowly and carefully glue bit by bit, trying my best not to get the glue in the fur. Which again, was a lot harder than it looks. But all in all, it looks, I'm generally super impressed of how it looks. Look at that, it looks great. And there's little things I want to cover up later, but we'll worry about that at a later time. Now all I have to cover is the sides and the back, and for this, I decided to go with my little paper stencil thing where I just roughly map it out and then cut out the shape. Unfortunately, when I was doing this, I was stupid and didn't like recognize, I did it backwards. So the fur would be facing the wrong way, but luckily I went to see if it would fit on the other side where the fur would match, and it did. With a little bit of stretching and a little bit of cutting, I just slowly glue the pieces under each little flap, making it all the way around. Again, I had to do this very slowly, just to not burn myself like I did there, and as to not get as much glue in the fur as possible. And then I do the exact same thing on the other side in the back to completely fill out the fur, and I basically use up almost the entirety of the fur thing I made. And the last thing I do, I just want to add a little detail to the face. Also, I want to cover up some of the glue and seams on the face area. So I decided to make these little like pimple or pustules using just glue. I put them on a parchment paper, and then once it dries, I start to paint it the exact same way I did the other stuff, making a base, then coming in with the darker colors, and of course after that coming in with the pink goopy goop to make it shiny. And this worked really well. In fact, as you can see, some of the little pimples popped right off the parchment paper as I was painting, which was annoying, but it made it really easy to get the other ones off. And then I do a little bit of trimming to get some of the excess glue with some scissors before taking it to the face and just before gluing the pieces. I'm mostly just trying to cover up some seams or some areas that didn't look great. It also adds some texture and just kind of makes the whole thing look more like a believable creature. And now for the reveal. And here he is, my new son, Kirby. That's right. I'm calling him Kirby because it's Crab plus Furby equals Kirby. That's right. Suck it, Nintendo. My Kirby's better. Anyways, here he is. I am super impressed of how well it came out. It took a really long time to make this guy, but in the end, I am so proud of the way. I cannot wait to have this guy in my backgrounds from now on. I'm really impressed with the little choices I made. I'm glad that they all worked out. As you saw, I was really just winging it the entire time, but we made it happen. Here he is, my new son, Kirby.
And here he is, my son. This is my boy. Oh, don't fall. Don't embarrass me in front of the people. Hey, friendship. We did it. I am very tired. So there it is, an abomination to mankind. My son, Kirby. He will now be here in my nightmares forever. So there it is. You saw my process. I know this video took like over a month to do, and that was because of, as you saw, shipping taking forever and then just setback after setback after setback. But that's just the way it is. And going forward with videos on this channel, I think that's just the way it's gonna have to be. I wanna make stuff like Kirby, and they're just gonna take as long as they take, because I still work a full-time job while running several YouTube channels, plus, you know, doing my own life stuff, maintaining friendships and all that good stuff. So things just, you know, take longer. If I have a set time, things don't go wrong. I have a week before I have another set time, so we'll just have to go with it. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you should seriously consider your mental health. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below, or these two will definitely be in your room tonight. Never stop creating, and I will see you someplace else.